Hey everyone, this is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to episode 15 of the Powercast, and we will be discussing Power Season 4, Episode 5. It was a crazy episode that we just saw. A lot happened, but before we get to the recap and discussion, let me introduce Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How you doing, Rich?
Doing pretty good, Gary, and everybody. Welcome back to Powercast. That was an awesome episode. I can't wait to talk about it.
Indeed. And we also have Mrs. Dana Abercrombie. How you doing, Dana?
Hello, everyone.
Hello, indeed. So, yeah, let me just quickly recap the events of that amazing episode that we just saw. So, the episode opens up with Angela telling Paz that she thinks Jamie is innocent. Paz is her sister, of course. And then we see the prosecution having a meeting, and they basically want to use, they want to bring up some money that Tommy lent to Jamie as a means to start a RICO case so that they can, they can bring the whole organization to trial, pretty much. And then at the prison, we see Tony Teresi telling Marshall Williams that Jamie may have been behind him getting transferred because apparently Williams is getting transferred out of the prison. So Teresi tells him that, Jamie and his lawyer, they have a lot of connects and they probably had him transferred. So obviously that kind of gets Marshall Williams upset. And then we see a comeback. Former Truth owner Stern visits Jamie in prison and he offers to help him financially, but Jamie declines. And then later on, we see Angela meeting up with both Jamie and Silver. Terry Silver, is Jamie's new lawyer at the moment. And she basically asked Jamie how the prince got in Greg's window. And he tells her that, Greg had some sort of evidence about her being the mole and everything, and that's why he was there. And just so she's aware that he's telling the truth, he tells her that she came into the apartment, which is true. And he actually tells her what she said to herself when she came into the apartment while Jamie was there. So at that point, she, of course, believes him. And then, Angela tells them that the prosecution is going to bring up the loan from Tommy, the money that Tommy gave Jamie. So, yeah, basically from there, Jamie has to kind of, he tells Terry what the money was for and everything, even though he might not have been 100% truthful with that. But yeah, later on, Jamie testifies in front of the judge about Tommy's loan. And, he basically says the money was for security at the club and everything like that. And then a few scenes later, we see Stern come back and he approaches Tasha and he offers that same financial help to Tasha. And then we see Dre setting up a new underground club to replace Truth because Truth got shut down last week. So yeah, he now has an underground club where he can push the drugs and everything, and he shows Tommy, and Tommy's very pleased with it. When we go back to the court, we see Sandoval questioning Jamie, and he puts a lot of pressure on Jamie about he's forcing the issue of Jamie murdering Greg and everything, and Jamie kind of loses his temper under the pressure, and he shouts out, "I did not kill Greg," and it kind of makes him look a little angry black man and everything, and then later on, there's a scene back in the prison at the gym when Jamie's working off some stress and everything, and Marshall Williams approaches him, and everyone leaves the gym and everything, and Marshall Williams gets very disrespectful, talking about, how he's going to throw the D at Tasha and how the kids are going to call him daddy and everything. And at that point, Jamie snaps and, he hits Marshall Williams and they start fighting. you know, Marshall Williams gets the baton or whatever, and he starts hitting Jamie with it. And then Jamie actually grabs a dumbbell and he hits Marshall over the head with the dumbbell, and he repeatedly does that until Marshall Williams is dead. And then after that, Tony comes in the gym with a second inmate. I can't remember his name. The second inmate tries to stab Jamie, but then Tony strangles him from behind. And then Tony basically helps Jamie make it look like that, you know, the inmate killed Marshall Williams and then hung himself. So, you know, he kind of saves Jamie at that point. And then later on, Tasha approaches Tommy about, you know, sleeping with Lakeisha and everything. And Tommy kind of admits to it. And then Tasha brings up Holly, and Tommy finally confesses about Holly's murder and explains what happened with Holly putting a hit on Jamie and everything. And Tasha kind of, you know, understands at that point. And then back in court, we see Angela actually get called up as a witness by Terry Silver. And, you know, the prosecution is shocked at that point. And Angela talks about the surveillance footage that she saw and about how, you know, Jamie went nowhere near where the gun was found at the bar and everything. And she mentions that she told Sandoval about this, and, you know, he basically said it wasn't worth looking into. She also brings up some stuff that she told John, and, you know, he kind of dismissed it. And then, you know, immediately John brings up her relationship with Jamie and talks about how Jamie stole evidence from right under her nose and everything. And the judge gets very mad at the prosecution team's incompetence, and he dismisses all charges against Jamie, and the prosecution team are suspended at that point. And then later on at the club, we see Kanan visit Dre in the office, and Dre gives him what he says is the final payment, and he tells him to leave Tariq alone. And obviously Kanan gets a bit agitated at that point, but then Dre actually starts making a proposal and tells him that he can help him get back what's rightfully his, you know, meaning the drug business and everything. And while they're talking, Julio actually walks into the club, and he sees Kanan talking with Dre through the window. And then later on, Tasha's thanking Terry Silver for, you know, saving the family and everything and getting Jamie off and everything like that. And after Terry leaves, she immediately calls Stern. And then later on, we see Tommy preparing to leave for Chicago because he has some business to handle with the drug business and everything. And then as Jamie's getting ready to leave prison, Teresi gives Jamie a phone and tells him to give the phone to Tommy when he gets out. And, you know, he threatens to talk about what happened with Marshall Williams unless, you know, Jamie complies with what he says. So the final scene is Kanan walking into his apartment, and he's looking for Tariq. And, you know, Jukebox is actually there. She walks out and she mentions that Tariq is out cold, sleeping. And she says, she tells him that Jamie is getting out and that now it's time to, you know, bring back the kidnapping angle, get the money, and then kill Jamie and everything. And then Kanan's final words are, okay, what do you need me to do? And we see a little smirk on his face, and that's how the episode ends. So crazy episode right there. A lot of plot twists, a lot of, you know, crazy stuff. Like, I feel like after this episode, the whole season is going to change at this point. Like, you know, it's going to, there's so many different things that it opens the doors to at this point. So Richard, what's your initial thoughts after everything that happened in this episode?
So let me start by just reiterating what I had said when we started recording. Hands down, this this had to be the best episode of Power so far this season. So many things that took place. Really, really hard to unpack and get to everything, but I'm just going to mention a few things that I thought was very, very interesting. So let's talk about the death that took place in this episode when Ghost decided to finally kill this guard that he's been having issues with. The physicality of that particular attack, it almost looked like it could have been a dream. It could have been fake, but just the brutality and the nature of it was just, man, it's that shows you the dangerous side of Ghost. You know, I feel like so far this season, you've seen that the character has been struggling, trying to deal with the situation of being in jail. So now you finally saw him do this act. And of course, you know, the guy you mentioned earlier that walked in the jail, that's the biscuit guy, the guy who tried to rape him a couple of episodes ago. So we saw
that's the one.
Yeah, we saw Teresi take him out as well. And, you know, that was a moment of bonding between them. Now, of course, you know, as you mentioned at the end of the episode, once, you know, Ghost does find out that he is going to be let free, yeah, Teresi tells him to give him that phone, or that may, or else he's going to reveal what happened in that jail cell. But, you know, the thing about that is that he can do that, but he would also be revealing, you know, he would be putting himself in trouble as well, because he also killed Biscuit. Obviously, though, he has a life sentence. I mean, he's not getting out. So I guess either way, it wouldn't matter. Even if they tacked on more time to his current time, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. But, yeah, just to see that scene, though, is very, very brutal scene to see with the whole guy getting killed. But
Very
I know,
graphic.
yeah, oh, yeah, it was very, very graphic. But, you know, I'm glad that, you know, I guess this is something where you wanted to see Jamie somehow get, you know, overcome that character. So he took this route. I'll be very interested to see if there are consequences for that later. And one thing I do know, like I mentioned with the whole thing with the phone, that Teresi did tell him to get him that phone. The issue was that, of course, Tommy is headed to Chicago now and not able to reach him. So I don't know if that's going to be an issue now moving forward, you know, because, you know, maybe if he doesn't get that phone to him in enough time, they may put him in jeopardy. So we have to see how that goes. A few other points I want to make real quick, but then I want to give the floor to Dana. Simon Stern, the return of this guy. And let me just say that this guy, he looked like shit in this episode. You know, we got to keep it real. This guy looks, he looks worse than he looked the last time I saw him. Like, and, you know, if I was to look at this guy, I would be like, well, how can you assist me? You know, look, just look at you. You look like a shell of yourself. So at the end, of course, Tasha took the money because she does need the money to make sure. The thing about it is that we didn't really see the fallout with her, you know, actually making that decision, because, you know, Ghost already told him, no, we're not going to do that. So this was a decision that was made without Ghost knowing about it. And I'll be curious to see how he will respond to that in the next episode, because he already told him no, but Tasha told him, yes, we need it. And they do need the money because the club is shut down for now. You know, we don't really know if any of that other stuff is going to get opened up again. I would assume eventually it will. But there's a lot of things going on at the moment that are up in the air that we're probably going to get some answers for in the next episode. And one other quick thing that I will mention is this whole thing with, again, 50 Cent, you know, well, Kanan. Finally being seen by Julio is a big deal. You know, Julio obviously doesn't really know who the character is, though. And I'm curious to see what happens now, because I think one thing that we did get in this episode, as we gotten in all the other episodes, there has been tension building between all these people in Tommy's camp. And then also the fact that Tommy doesn't fully trust Dre. So he does work with him, but he still keeps his eyes on him. So the fact that now that Dre has been talking to this other guy, you know, Julio may try to come to Tommy and tell him, hey, he's talking to some other guy. I don't really recognize that guy. Now, Tommy may just, you know, shun him away and just say, well, this is your problem, not my problem. But it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that dynamic now, because that's going to cause a lot of issues. And also, you take into account the fact that all this other stuff going on with the kidnapping, this is going to be a very interesting situation to see how all of this comes together. Obviously, Tariq has been working with them. I would assume that he's still going to be working with them. He may even be forced to do it even more frequently now, given this particular situation, or they can just, make it pretend like everything is cool. You're just here with us. You don't have to go home, that type of scenario. I mean, I don't know how they're going to tell that part of the story yet, but yeah, I just wanted to say once again that this has been an excellent episode. There's been a lot of things happening. And I feel for the 5th episode, which is, of course, the midpoint, because this is a 10-episode series. This is excellent, So I'm very curious to see what happens in the next 5 episodes. But that's what I thought about this particular episode.
Yep. So, Mrs. Dana, what would you think about that episode? What's your thoughts?
This was a very an emotional roller coaster of an episode, and I know it's at the midway point, but I think that everything happened all together at once too quickly, and I don't like the fact that everything just seems to have 20 different plots at the same time. I am very happy that there's suspicion surrounding Dre a little bit, and that we don't know now. Now that can probably cast doubt on how I predicted the character being basically kind of like Shades, hiding in the dark until he waits for his moment and he's the one who takes over everything. So that kind of puts me in a loop, and I'm really expecting to see what's going to happen. I'm looking forward to that aspect. The thing with Ghost being released from prison, the part is that I think that me personally, I would like to see him stay in prison a little bit more and see everything that was happening on the outside world basically fall apart without him. We didn't get that much, but I do appreciate this one thing. The part when that jail fight and he took those dumbbells and he smashed that guy's head in, that to me reminded me of season 1's Ghost, when we was introduced to him, when he basically went and he shot that guy just point blank right in the head, no thought about it, when he was changing in the mirror and it was his blood and he was like, oh, this is some blood, it's nothing more. And you got to see who Ghost really is, and you got to see who he was hiding from, but you got to see his true nature. This reminded me of Ghost's true nature finally coming out and saying, hello, don't forget about me, I'm still here. I may be in prison, or I may had this hard time, and everything seems to be going downhill for me, and I'm really, want to get out the game, and I'm looking all sad and pathetic and pitiful, but this is who I truly am, and he can switch just like that. I love that. To me, that was the best scene out of the whole episode. Probably a little bit out of the series so far. So for that, I'm so looking forward, because to me, it just feels like we're going to get the original Ghost. We're going to get the real Ghost again, and he's going to just rain chaos on everyone. Again, Tariq is still alive. Not sure how I feel about that. No one beat him yet. He was asleep. They could have easily just beat him in sleep, but he's still alive. So we'll see how that unfolds. I'm looking forward to that very much so. And I can kind of see when I was watching it, it was like a kind of glimmer in 50 Cent's eyes when he said that line, where everything is about to go down. And this is like what everyone's been waiting for. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Again, Angela's still alive. I don't know why, but she is. And that was kind of a little bit of a disappointment. I wanted to see her kind of like simmer a little bit, but she didn't. And the case being thrown out, I didn't exactly like that. I wanted to actually see a trial. I wanted to see Tasha have to testify. I want to see, what would really happen if Tasha had to choose a side. And we didn't get that. And I feel that I was robbed from that wonderful opportunity. And I have no idea what's going to happen. But to me, I think that would have been like a really wonderful moment if the case wasn't dismissed and she just had to figure out what she was going to do, and we as fans didn't know either. So I think that was a one missed opportunity. But overall, I'm very excited for what's coming up. I literally have no idea. I cannot predict this at all, but I'm looking forward to everything, and yay for this episode. It was such a wonderful, it scared me actually, because I'm afraid that it was just so good that everything is just going to go downhill, but I'm trying to remain positive. So, yay.
I don't think you need to worry. I'm sure Tasha is definitely going to be choosing some sides pretty soon.
Well, I hope it's not the
And
predictable side. That's the only thing that I want.
oh, we'll see. And going back to what you said about Ghost really coming back out again since like the first season, I completely agree with that because I remember that scene you were talking about from the first season in the very first episode, and
Absolutely.
I have a friend who didn't make it past that episode because that ghost scared him so much, like he didn't want to watch a show that violent, I guess. So yeah, like
But it wasn't even the fact that it was like so brutal. It was the fact that if you look at it, it was kind of simple because he didn't really do any of the dirty work. Remember, they taught Dre how to chop up the body and put it in the car. So it really wasn't, and that also reminded me back again with Dre. Remember, they've been teaching Dre from the very beginning how to do things. So he's very knowledgeable. And I see him, he's storing all that information. But if you look at the first episode with Ghost, he really didn't do all of that heavy lifting. It wasn't like, I'm going to chop the body and I'm going to be really mean and menacing. He did it so without a care. It was like him just going shopping for milk. He just shot the guy. And then when he went home, you saw him look in the mirror at the blood and was like, another day. He didn't even oh my God, he wasn't even scrubbing at it. He looked in the mirror and he was just like, this is who I really am. And this is the blood, another day.
yeah.
And that's what I loved about it. That is how you create a character that's truly menacing. You don't need anyone who's screaming or yelling or, hacking up people to death. You need that quiet nature and that quiet side that just says, don't mess with me. Because while I don't look at this moment, I can really mess you up. And I loved how, I don't know if it was intentional, but I just love how it just transported me back to that first episode.
I just want to make a quick comment. I agree. I agree with pretty much everything that you both said. The one thing that I will say though, in relation to the death in this particular episode is that, just like you said, that death in season 1, it's like he didn't have a care in the world. This is a little bit more different because it's a lot more personal. And you remember what the guy told him before that happened about the fact that he was going to take his wife and mess with the kids. Now, I don't think that he really cares too much about Tasha anymore, but the kids is obviously, a whole different situation. So you mentioned the kids and the wife. He definitely, he said, Charlie Murphy, you going to get dealt with right now.
No, I see him still caring about Tasha. I can see him doing that for Tasha.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think deep down inside, no matter what has happened between them, there is a genuine love and a care that he has for Tasha. And if anyone was to hurt her, I can see him reign in all hell.
Well, yeah.
You can be at a place where you may not like the person, but you will always love them.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
And remember, she didn't have to go to show up in prison. She could have easily just walked away.
That's right. Absolutely.
Obligated anything for him, and she still did. Whether or not she may have been confused or even her own feelings, she still showed up. And there's a genuine connection between those two characters.
Oh yeah, they definitely need a connection for the sake of the family.
And it's not even, I don't even see it really being about money or a status or power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just bouncing off of what we're talking about with Tasha and Jamie. So we saw Stern come back, right? So what could Stern's motive be here? Because he wants to help them financially, and he's very adamant about helping them financially. Like, what would drive this character to come back and offer up money for them? Like, what does he want from this situation?
Payback.
Say,
revenge. If you have
payback, how? But how is he going to deliver the payback by giving them money? Explain.
I don't know. I think
I can explain that.
Okay.
The payback is very simple when you think about it. Look at how things were when Jamie first met this guy, and the fact that he was very surprised that Jamie had so much success with the club. The fact that he was his own businessman. So the payback would be that, you remember he alluded to when they had that incident where they went and had dinner with them in a previous season. and it made it feel as though, yes, you what you've done is great, but you need to work for me because we already know that I'm the one with the most money. I have the most business acumen. You need to work for me, as like a secondary. I don't want to say like a servant, so to speak, but yeah, he basically wants him to work for him. So the payback is that, he already envisioned Jamie as being that kind of guy where, yeah, you're not meant to be someone who is running your own business. You need to be working with me because I'm the one that's in charge. So that is the payback that he wants. He wants, because he sees that Jamie's having a hard time. And he had all this issue with the court that with the jail. So he has to start over fresh. So he's saying, yes, so now you were in a good place, but now you're right where you belong. So yes, you need to work for me and, to benefit my cause, not so much your own. But that's what I think, because obviously this is a character that definitely, as Dana said, it's about revenge. You look at all the stuff that they went through and how he took this guy down. There's no way he's coming back just out of the goodness of his heart to just work with this guy. No, there is a motive behind all of this.
So you think it's a case of you think his motive is, okay, I'm going to give you this money to help you and your family out, and in return, you're working for me now. You think that's what his play is?
Yeah. It has to be that. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe he knows more, because we have to also remember the fact that Cantos did work for Jamie and then went to work with him. Cantos could have easily told him about the dirty stuff that Jamie did in that club, or the stuff that was going on in the club. And he could use that as, down the road to try to manipulate him to say, well, yeah, you are working for me, but now you're going to stay working for me, because if not, then I'm going to reveal all this information and put it out there in the open. So it could be that also. But it's definitely a motive behind it. He's not just coming back just, I want to give the brother a job. No, come on. We already know this character is not that kind of character. Obviously, Jamie really destroyed his life in many ways. His marriage is finished, done. So yeah, he's going to try and expose Jamie any way that he can. It's just that we have to see what the writers have in mind. But it's something that's definitely being set up as far as that's concerned.
Can I piggyback off of that?
Yes,
go ahead.
Say that the best way to get to a man, and if you look at is through ego, and by having another man take care of your family, that right there is a big blow to someone's self-esteem.
Yes.
I think that's way more powerful than, say, if you was to shoot someone's family member. To know that, you're less of a man. Look at me. A stranger has to come and take care of your own family, something that you can't do.
Yeah.
Because of the predicament that you end up with your life. Your wife came running to me and accepted my money, but not yours.
That's a good point.
So, yeah. So I agree with Richard's sentiments.
Yeah, I agree with you both. I just wanted some more clarity on that for the listeners. But yeah, I completely agree with that theory. Because I think it's kind of the only thing that makes sense. Because there's no other reason for this character to come back in the picture and then offer up money. So yeah, I completely agree. But as for some other characters in the show, we have a lot of motives to work out. After that episode. So let's go to man, who should we go to? Let's go to Sandoval. Okay, so we see Sandoval questions Jamie, in court and everything. He puts pressure on him, and then later Angela comes back, with the swerve, and she puts the prosecution team on blast. The judge gets really mad, and he throws out the entire case, and it's a wrap. And then we do have a scene. I didn't mention it earlier, but we have a scene where Angela and Sandoval are in the elevator together on their way out, and Sandoval says something slick, and then as Angela's trying to leave, he grabs her, he physically grabs her and says, are you satisfied? You let a killer loose, and yada yada yada. And then Angela hits him with some Spanish, and she's like, I'm gonna bring whoever did this to Greg to justice, and it's going to come to light eventually, and yada yada yada. So she's kind of, I don't know if she was alluding to the fact that she might know something, but yeah, what's Sandoval's next move going to be? Because now the prosecution team, that they're suspended at this point. They might have an investigation. I don't know. Like, I think the judge mentioned some sort of investigation to figure out, you know, why the team is so incompetent. But yeah, what's his next move going to be at this point? What's he going to do next? Because he is the actual murderer, you know.
Yeah. So let me just say something real quick about that particular scene. That, you know, that right there should be very suspect to Angela. The fact that you have to use force, grab her by the arm, and then say, "Hey, you put the wrong killer. You set the wrong killer free." That, when I saw that, I would say, you know, she should pick up on something right then and there. The fact that he is so gun ho that Jamie did it, but then when it didn't work out, now you're going to grab her like that. That's a little ridiculous. You know, the character has been very sloppy. And very desperate in trying to make sure to try to pin this on somebody else. So I would say, if I had to make a guess of what will happen next, now he may try to shift the blame towards someone else on the team, and I would say possibly Angela. You know, now, of course, we know that the other character that was killed, the informant that knew all this information, that was a character that was trying to pin it on Angela. So unfortunately, that character cannot in any way offer any information. But I had a feeling that he would have tried to reach out to that character and just say, yeah, so what information do you have on Angela? I want to expose her. But I do feel as though, as a result of this particular incident, now I feel like it definitely splits sides down, you know, down the middle. And I think that, you know, you're probably going to have some people a part of that team that will work together, and others that will decide to work together as well. But I definitely think it's going to be a situation of Sandoval now going against Angela because of how all of that went down. And also the other guy, I only know the actor's name, but the Asian guy, I believe it's John Mack.
Yep.
This guy also was quick to reveal the information about Angela, to basically throw her under the bus once she had revealed about the evidence that they didn't look over. So I feel like if it is going to split up, he'll probably side with Sandoval, and then they will try to figure out who the killer is on their end, and Angela will team up with whoever else is left and try to figure it out on her end. That would be my guess now. But the Sandoval character, I feel as though he's going to definitely try to do more now. I mean, he already tried to do as much as he could to get Ghost, you know, killed. So now I feel like he's going to try even harder now to pin it on somebody else. And I would have to say he's going to really try and pin something on Angela just because he didn't like how that whole situation went down.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
I can see that. Dana, you got any theories on that?
I didn't like how that scene went down because it was way too literal. I'm gonna just kind of hope that Angela's stupid and didn't get it. And I kind of like Richard's idea of maybe she'll be the one who's pinned on everything, which would just be lovely. And I know all the fans would probably rejoice. And instead of, you know, and dying, she'll just end up in prison by being framed terribly. But
I
didn't like that scene. I didn't like that scene at all. I just felt that it was like lazy writing, and that, you know, he kept trying to basically tell her that I'm the one who did it. It's me all along, but I just don't like how it went down. So I really don't know how that's gonna go unless you just see him pin it on someone else, and the only person I can see is Angela. But then again, that would be too predictable. But his actions again seem to be very predictable, so it could be that way.
Yeah. Richard, you mentioned Greg's friend. I believe his name is Bailey or something. Yeah, I feel like Angela's not going to give up trying to figure out who really killed Greg and who is the mole. So I think she's going to go knocking at that guy's door, Bailey, and she's probably going to find out he's dead. You know, she's going to find out that he's not responding, and she might go digging around and find out that he's no longer living. And that could, you know, open up a lot of possibilities in itself as well, because she knows that he has some type of evidence, you know. So I feel like at some point somebody's going to try and contact him and figure out he's not alive anymore. So that's definitely going to come back into play, I think. And I feel like Angela is going to be the person that, you know, initiates that. Rich, was you going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say that is a good point. I know that. Well, that's the thing. They were supposed to get rid of the body. You remember when he killed her, you know, and then, you know, of course we had the lawyer there. Proctor was there also when all this happened. So the question of, you know, because Proctor said he had a guy, and we said, oh, that must be Mike from Breaking Bad, but obviously that's not who it was. The whole thing is that, yes, they said they got rid of the body, so we're going to find out whether or not they got rid of the body if she does go after that character. And then also the fact of the evidence. Was all of the evidence destroyed? Because, you know, Proctor told Tommy, yes, that I didn't have there wasn't any other information that I had. So, but was he telling the truth with all of that? I mean, I have no idea, because my thing is this: Proctor is loyal to every character, you know, that he needs to be loyal to, obviously. But at some point, he does have a daughter. He has to think about what can he do for her protection in the event that something happens. So I wouldn't put it past the situation that he could still have some of that evidence. But we have to see what they have planned for that character. But yeah, going after Bailey, I definitely could see Angela doing that, as you said. But it's gonna get more interesting now, because of course this guy is no longer in the picture. So now that's a whole nother murder investigation. You got to figure out, well, who did that? And this guy had information as to who he thought Greg's killer was. So we have to see how that all pans out. But very interesting.
Yeah, I think at some point Angela will find out it was Sandoval. Either Angela or, like Nellie Mac said, I think maybe even Tommy or Jamie finds out, and then they kind of use him. That's definitely a possibility now, you know, because with what happened in this episode, you know, yeah, definitely possibility.
That'd be very good leverage for them if they do find that out. Yes, that was a very good point by Nellie Mac. So yeah, I hope that happens. You know, we have to see.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts on Sandoval before I move on to the next question? Dana, yeah, I think you were going to say something.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Dana.
I just wanted to say that I don't see him lasting for very long, because it's kind of really stupid what he's trying to do. Act and pop up out of the blue. I don't really see a purpose or a point to him.
Yeah. And Rich, you was going to say something?
Yeah, I just was going to say Sandoval is a snake, so they need to catch that snake and lock him up. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, you know, he can be used if they do find that information out. But this character, I really don't like this character, you know, because, yeah, he's very desperate, trying to do whatever he can to cover up himself. And I will feel no sympathy for him whatsoever when he finally does get caught or killed. I can say that right now.
Cool. And so, yeah, next question I had was going to be about Tommy. So we know he's off to Chicago. Now, I'm really interested in seeing how this plays out in the next episode, like whether they're going to actually show him in Chicago during the episode, or if that particular thing happens off screen, you know, him being away and stuff, like if all of that happens off screen, or whether we actually get to see him in Chicago. And, you know, I kind of want to see if him going to Chicago has any relevance on the storyline and going forward, you know, if anything major pops off there in Chicago. But yeah, he's definitely going to be gone, we know. And I feel like that opens up a lot of possibilities in itself of what might happen in next week's episode, because with Tommy gone, Jamie is coming back into the picture, and he's going to have to handle a lot of shit, because, you know, Dre's going to be, you know, he's running the underground club and everything. And Kanan, depending on how fast the kidnapping plays out, it's probably going to play out pretty quickly, because they're going to notice that Tariq's not there at some point. So yeah, he's going to have a lot of shit to deal with on his own without Tommy being there. And of course, you mentioned Teresi gave him the phone. He's not going to be able to give him the phone until, you know, Tommy is actually back from Chicago. So how do you guys think that Tommy being away possibly for the next episode is going to play out? You know, and do you think it has any relevance?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and I'll try to be brief so that Dana will, you know, she can have her time as well. I will just say this: the one major issue with Tommy going to Chicago, you know, he's using another phone, so literally no one is able to contact him, no one at all, and that to me is an issue because he's walking, you know, he's going into Chicago. Obviously, we don't really know much about the people that they're dealing with, too much on the other side of things, but we do know that they have concerns. They had a concern when Ghost got jailed, that could come back to them as well. So he could very well be walking into a death trap or some type of dangerous situation like the character was in last season. So, and again, the fact that he can't contact anybody, that right there tells me that that character could be in for some trouble. You know, now, obviously, I don't think that they would kill the character, at least not at the moment. You know, the character is one of the best characters on the show, with it hands down, and that has evolved over the seasons. So I don't think nothing like that will happen to him. But obviously, if something happens at their meetup, then that could be of some concern, definitely, to everything that's going on. And as far as all of the relationships that he has back in New York, obviously, you know, with Tasha, we do know that Tasha now knows that he's messing around with Lakeisha. And that is something that, you know, she was never supposed to find out about that, but now she knows, and she also knows about Holly as well. So obviously, everyone is going to be trying to get in contact with him. You know, we talked about the whole thing with the kidnapping. You know, just like Tasha contacted Tommy before, she may try to contact him again. Ghost may try to contact him again, but they can't reach him. So I think that definitely is going to make things a little up in the air for the characters that do need him the most. And I also think that because we've been seeing this tension building with all the people that are in his organization and then people like Julio and stuff, I don't know if any of those characters, I don't know if Julio's going to be in Chicago also. But my guess is that there will continue to be tensions within his organization while he is away. And that may lead to some other issues that he will have to deal with afterwards. Now, they know that Ghost is out now. They may try to talk to Ghost, confront him, and ask him for some advice, assistance, so on and so forth. But Ghost has a lot of things that he has to worry about now. So I just feel like, yeah, Tommy, I do think that we'll still see Tommy, obviously. I don't think they're going to have an episode where he's not on it. I think you may see him at some point. But we just need to see what happens. But I definitely think that something is going to happen while he goes away. Because, again, he can't contact anybody for any emergencies. They can't contact him. That is the worst case scenario. That means something will probably happen when he goes out there. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, and Tommy being away is very important, like with Jamie coming out, because Tommy is not there to brief Jamie on what's been happening. So, you know, because Tommy's missing, Jamie's, you know, he's probably gonna rely on Dre, you know, to fill him in. And we know that Dre is kind of plotting something, you know, so that puts him in dangerous waters a little bit too. So yeah, Tommy being away could have a significant impact on things. And I feel like when Tommy gets back, things are going to be significantly different somehow. But Dana, you got any theories on Tommy's trip and him being away for the next episode?
Tommy, he is dead. He is gone. He is dead. He's gone.
Oh, yeah, don't say that.
They're gonna basically kill him. He's gonna be killed off, and it's gonna be the rise of Dre. Because there's no one. There's no one there anymore. So basically, Ghost is walking in, not knowing anything, what's going on. Tommy's gonna be knocked off. Or maybe he might be kidnapped or in some extreme danger, who he's not necessarily killed, but he's hanging on for his life. And it's going to just be, that's when all the chaos starts to come. So I'm actually looking forward to this. I think it's, by them doing that, I think it's going to be slightly predictable. And I'm predicting that it's going to just be the chaos. And this is going to be an ambush episode, an episode either 6 or 7, but it's going to be some ambushing.
Now, I do agree that this could somehow be some sort of setup, you know, for Tommy going to Chicago. It could somehow be a setup, you know, somebody could be trying to set him up, whether it's police or, you know, whether it's, you know, somebody from the drug organization trying to set him up. Like this could definitely be a setup somehow. So I'm not going to rule out the possibility of this being a setup and Tommy walking into a trap, but I don't think he's going to die yet.
Well,
but, yeah.
I look, this is how I see. I see that, you know, we're at the very midway point and things have to actually start happening within we got 5 more episodes. And the way to really accelerate this story is to start knocking. He doesn't necessarily have to die, but he can be kidnapped or half beaten to death.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
And I want them to show Chicago. They're gonna. I want this episode, half of the episode, to be in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope we do see some, you know, some of what Tommy's up to. Honestly, but we'll see. I mean, if they wanted to, I mean, I wouldn't complain if they didn't show Tommy because there's still a lot of shit that they could focus on in New York too. But I would like to see Tommy though in Chicago, so I hope they do.
They don't have to like live in you know in Chicago, but they should at least show like 4 clips of what's gonna happen, 4 scenes.
Yeah.
Of him getting there, him thinking everything's okay, him being kidnapped, and him thinking he's gonna die. That's it.
Yeah. Well.
And then like the fallout of where the heck is Tommy later on. And that's when Drake comes in and everyone else.
So are you telling me that Jamie has to deal with 2 kidnappings? Like that's a lot of pressure for one man.
He'll be fine. I mean, it's a lot. And he doesn't necessarily have to deal with it directly. It could be like someone else he sends off to go deal with it. But I mean, this show is already overloaded. But he can choose between. It's a great metaphor. Him choosing between his family and his career, his job. Which side does he want to be? Does he want to be Ghost or does he want to be Jamie?
Oh, that's a good scenario. That's a good. Yeah, so, I like that.
There you go. 2 kidnappings at the same time. Which is more valuable to you? Your son, who needs to be beaten to death, or your right-hand man who's been with you forever and is going with Keisha?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Yo, you should be a writer for real, because that's good. I will admit that's good. Go ahead, Rich. You got any more thoughts on that?
No, I agree with a lot of what was said. So, you know, I'm just curious to see how they handle that situation. I mean, I do think that the whole thing about making that choice, you know, the irony of it is, you know, he does need to have the money to take care of the family, but you know, if you don't take care of the family, that's a very tough place for them to put them in. But I could definitely see them taking that path.
You can take care of your family without money.
Oh, he can. So you mean they're gonna be homeless then, right? Because they can't pay no bills. We can't pay no electric.
It'll be a massive. These people are not regular people poor.
It's
not welfare and food stamps.
Hey, no, they're gonna have to look at the food stamps if it gets.
This is cash poor. This is not This is drug dealing poor, not us regular folk.
Yeah. Oh well.
So they'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
He may not be where he wants to be, you know, monetary wise. They'll be fine, but he has to decide, what does he really want to do? Who does he save?
Oh, it needs to be family. Well, yeah, go ahead. What you gonna say, Gary?
I was just gonna say, yeah, Jamie definitely has a lot of decisions to make once he gets out, for sure. And you know, he's got a lot of things he needs to attend to. So it's going to be interesting to see what his first moves are as a free man. But yeah, I guess we'll see. So let's go to Dre and his proposal to Kanan. He was, basically painting the picture of Kanan being in control of the drug trade again. So do you feel like this is Dre basically saying that he wants to remove Tommy and Julio from the situation and work with Kanan and, be business partners with Kanan? Is that what he was saying? What do you guys think? Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I think that is exactly what he was saying. I mean, he pretty much says that Milan is out, I'm in. He made it sound as though he is the main guy running the show now. Now we obviously know Ghost is not in it anymore, so this ain't really has nothing to do with Ghost. But Tommy is there, Julio is there, so we already know that there is tension with one of the guys on Tommy's team because of the fact that his friend got hit with that car, got run over with the car, actually. But I think that is now that is going to lead to, and we already know that they had a conversation. He has had a conversation with Dre. So now they may plot to slowly but surely try to take apart Julio and Tommy, if I had to make a guess, because there's tension there all across the board, and you already saw that they have alluded to it in other episodes. That guy told Julio, "I don't think you have control of your unit either." So they're going to mess around with that now, and I think that that is part of the reason that's part of something that Dre wants. Obviously he can do the club thing as well as the drug thing. Of course, the club thing is on a much smaller scale than Truth, but he feels as though he has learned enough so far that he can handle both sides. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this whole dynamic is juggled from here on out. But obviously, the fact that he has not really been, he's been talking with all these people. You're talking with Kanan, you're talking with Tommy, you're talking with all these people, and the conflict between them. He doesn't really know the full extent of that whole thing with Kanan. I don't think he knows about any of that other stuff with Kanan and the whole fight. Well, I think he knows about the fight that Kanan and Ghost had, but all that other stuff, it's like, Ghost and Tommy still think Kanan's dead. All of that's going to come to a head before this season is over, obviously, because this is going to become more apparent. But we just have to see how it's dealt with. But yeah, Dre definitely has motives. We don't know what all the plans are, but I definitely say he's definitely going to try to do what they can to mess things up further with Julio and Tommy. But it's going to be a lot harder for him to try to really impact Tommy, because Tommy is a wild card. He is reckless and smart character. So we'll see how all that comes together.
Yeah. So Dana, you've often painted Dre as a prodigy and a new Ghost in the making. So what would you make of this proposal to Kanan that he gave
Ghost
in this
Jr.
episode?
is going to start running things. So
Ghost Jr. meaning Dre or Tariq?
Dre. No,
Dre,
no.
okay.
Literally, no, not him. Tariq is busy not being whipped right now. No. Dre is, to me, I call him Ghost Jr. because he learned everything. And to me, I see him as being the next Ghost.
Yeah.
And him, slowly taking deals, and you see him doing a nightclub, and you see him, he's going to now do the drug thing. And I think that's what he wanted from the beginning. So I just see him, doing that. And not being so much caught up in him trying to separate himself really from the drama, but I see him doing that. And then plus Tommy, he's going to be busy being kidnapped. So it's perfect.
Yeah, but keep in mind, I don't think Dre is aware that Jamie's coming out yet. So he's probably going to be very shocked when Jamie.
Like, he could be very shocked, but he already made his decision.
Oh yeah, he already committed, but I do feel like he's going to be shocked, and it's going to throw him off a little bit because now he kind of has to
that thrown off. I think he's going to be like, "Oh my gosh, this is a surprise! Oh my gosh!" And then he'll get his stuff together. Then he'll be fine.
Yeah, it does mean he'll need to take a step back because Jamie's going to want to get back in the mix. and be in control. So he'll have to be more tactical.
He can make Jamie think that, but Jamie right now, I see so many things happening with Kanan. He's gonna be stuck with his son being kidnapped. That
Yeah, and
he's gonna. There's too many things that's going on that I do see Dre just like sliding right in there.
Okay, so where do you think Dre's loyalty will lie when he learns of the kidnapping?
With himself.
With the kidnapping.
With himself.
Okay. Well, what does that mean? Like, what is he going to do when he knows about the kidnapping? Do you think he's going to help Jamie, or is he going to help Kanan?
He can probably help both. And make them think that, I see him as like that double agent thing. And at the end, he ends up reaping the rewards. That's just how I see it.
You think he'll work both sides?
Helping both. I can see him doing both sides.
That's interesting.
Because if he helps Jamie, he could lose his opportunity at doing what he really wants. If he helps Kanan, then he loses his opportunity with faking out Jamie. So there's really no win-win for him, for Dre. Dre loses either way. He has to play a double agent right now and think about himself.
Yeah, you got a point there. Yeah. So yeah, any final thoughts before I move on?
Oh no, I'm very interested to see what happens with Dre now, because he is also juggling a lot of different things. And again, the fact that he hasn't really told them that all this stuff going on with Kanan. Yeah, I'll be very curious to see what the reaction will be once all this comes to a head.
Cool. Yeah, so the final question I had that I wanted to bring up was, well, not really a question. This is my theory, and then you guys can, let me know what you think of it. So with Kanan and Jukebox, right? So we know Jukebox wants to carry on the kidnapping that they was going to carry out at the start of the season and at the end of last season and everything. She wants to finally go ahead with that plan, get the money, and then kill Jamie, eventually. I feel like Kanan is going to kill Jukebox at some point, because I feel like Kanan has grown to be personally attached to Tariq, and he kind of sees Tariq as his new son, like as the son he wanted. And I feel like there's going to come a point where Jukebox kind of, she goes too far with it. She goes too far with her treatment of Tariq and everything. And Kanan doesn't like it. And I feel like he may end up actually killing her, and, he may want to just, he may keep Tariq for himself, basically. And this may kind of drag on till the end of the season kind of thing. But I wanted to know what you guys think of that idea.
How about you go first, Dana?
I did sense some tension between Jukebox and Kanan previously in last season. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Dana.
Yeah, I do. I do see the tension between the two. And yes, Jukebox could easily be killed off, but I don't know. It could go either way. I mean, I like that theory a lot, but I just don't see. Are you saying that the end result is him being able to keep Tariq for himself, and that he'll basically continue to twist his mind? Because I could see.
I feel like he will still have him kidnapped, of course, but like he'll be working towards his own motives, his own objectives. Because I think Jukebox just wants the money right now, and then she wants to kill Jamie eventually. But I think Kanan wants to play the long game a little bit, and I feel like he's kind of attached to Tariq. So I feel like that might result in a conflict between him and Jukebox.
I mean, I don't really see it so much as a conflict. If you really put it in that kind of terms, I just see it as one of those one and done situations where he just gets aggravated and shoots Jukebox in the head.
Yeah.
And just keeps it moving. But it really depends on how. I mean, if Jukebox keeps going on and starts being, annoying with this whole situation and wanting to just do everything for the money and not see the whole long picture and the whole longer game of, really planning this out with Jamie, then yeah, I can see Jukebox just easily going. But it really depends on how if Jukebox is able to see the actual reward and benefit aside from money, then Jukebox could live. But I think I kind of agree with your theory, but I just don't really see it as like some big showdown thing. I just see it as, two in the head and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be as quick as that. I'm just saying that I think
That's
that's
how
what's going to happen.
I can see that. I'm like 75% seeing your side.
Yeah, and because the reason I feel like that as well is in that scene with Jukebox, it seems like she's very controlling, and I'm not sure Kanan likes that, because like I feel like Kanan, he's been built up as this big, bad guy in the show and everything. I feel like he needs to be in control, and Jukebox was kind of in control there. So I feel like she needs to go for Kanan to rise and be that, big bad guy. So I feel like that's another reason why I feel like she might be on her way out. But do you have any thoughts, Rich?
Yeah, let me start off by saying this is a very excellent theory, Gary, and I also noticed the tension. I think one thing we have to remember when they did introduce Jukebox, this was a character that pretty much helped Kanan get back on his feet after all that he's dealt with his confrontation with Ghost. So the character has been steadily trying to get stronger. He messed around with Jukebox Woman too, which was a very interesting storyline. I haven't seen that woman anymore, so I guess that didn't work out. But I definitely could see it coming down to a situation where he has a strong disagreement, and he thinks that she has gone too far, and then he pretty much tries to shut it down. If he did kill her, that would be very interesting. I definitely see it happening. But I want to see at what point is this situation going to come to a head. Now let's just say a theory here. I do know that we eventually know that all the stuff that Tariq has been helping out with, they will get caught at some point. Okay, that is going to happen. So let's paint this picture if we can. Jukebox and them, they could easily be at their, maybe out on the job, and while out on that job, there is the real police actually do get a tip. They actually go there to stop them from doing the robbery, and then say one of the people that does work for Jukebox that she is also has a relationship with gets killed. Then I could see that when they had that confrontation, she may want to try to kill Tariq because this is all his fault, his involvement, so on and so forth. And then that can be a situation where you see, well, Kanan will come to his defense and try to stop it. And maybe that is what leads to him killing her. Or there's some type of struggle that they have. They can go in any direction really with that. But I definitely can see that happening, that sooner or later, there is going to have to be a decision that has to be made as far as him. We know that Kanan is a character that does, he pretty much does anything that he wants to do. So he, like you said, he's not going to take any orders for a longer time. Yes, Jukebox did try to help him develop a better plan to take down Ghost, which is a good thing. But at some point, he's going to alter that plan again and do what he wants to do. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I like that theory a lot because we definitely have to know that he definitely has had a bond with him, with Tariq. We know that there is some type of bond there. Tariq confides in him whenever he has questions, so on and so forth. And that is definitely going to lead to something. So I definitely would believe that he definitely is concerned about the kid, does care about the kid. And then when they actually try to go through with killing the kid, he may be the one to try and stop that. But again, he definitely wants to take Ghost out the picture. It's about him and Ghost. It's always been about him and Ghost. Not so much the kids, but again, we have to see what their plan is for that. But that is an excellent theory. I definitely want to see how they handle that situation once they get to it.
But this is the problem that I have with the theory, is the fact that that Kanan is growing an attachment to the kid. Maybe it's all for show. You can't be mean and cold-hearted to somebody and expect them to come to you and attach themselves to you. That's how you get the boy to trust in you, to form that kind of bond.
Yeah.
And I think by him,
I mean,
that's the problem that I have. I don't see him genuinely having this bond with this kid. I see it all being a ruse for him to get back at Ghost.
okay, if I'm reading that scene, like, because I really analyze everything, and the way in that final scene, the way he walked in, because Tariq was texting him when he was talking to Dre and everything, and he was texting back, you know, during that scene, and then the way he comes into the apartment and he's immediately calling out to Tariq and stuff, like he seems like he genuinely cares for Tariq in some way.
You can catch feelings, but that's it. I just can't. I can't see the feelings lasting. I think when business comes to business, Tariq is going to be done for. You can easily catch feelings, but you don't have to live in them.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and I just want to say this, that that's how you that will be how you know that the writers are doing a good job. If really it can go either way. He could be playing around and not really genuinely care about him, or he could actually do have some type of feelings for the kid enough to make sure that nothing really bad happens to him. But ultimately, we will get that answer in the next couple of episodes, because something will happen for sure.
He wants to protect that kid. He wants to be the one that delivers that blow. So if you're going to do that, you don't want anything to come to that kid. You don't want any harm. You want him to feel that he is safe and that he can trust you, and that you're putting on an act, and you want people to know, hey, don't mess with this kid because rawr, I'm going to come back and kill you. You don't want to be like, oh, don't mess that kid because I have feelings and, you know, I really want to love and protect him and want him to be my own. No, I'm not going to fear you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't.
Boy,
let me be clear. I don't
fear you. Your whole reputation is ruined.
I don't think it's to the extent that he's like in love with the kid. Like, let me make that clear.
In love. I just literally mean no. This is a PG type of love.
Yeah, like I feel like it's just a bond, you know. Like I feel like he does have a bond and an attachment, but I do feel like he's still playing the game against Jamie as well with that. Like I don't feel like he's given up that, you know.
I see this as just being something and ends all. This is the goal. The goal is to get to Jamie. If I got to deal with this little kid, and you know, for a minute we bond for a second, you can easily bond with somebody, especially a kid. But
so we basically agree. We agree.
I agree to the fact that this is an act. I agree to the fact that he doesn't want any harm to come to this kid. But at the same time, he's not going to be in the streets looking like a punk, you know, catching feelings for his enemy's son. Not literal romantic feelings, just, you know, bonding, manly feelings.
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say. So that's all the questions I had this week. But do you guys have anything specifically you wanted to bring up?
No, I think the writing is very strong. Once again, I'm looking forward to it. Don't make 50 Cent end up being this little, you know, person with feelings. And then
we know 50 Cent doesn't have feelings.
He don't have no feelings. He don't love these hoes. Let him not love the hoes or the hoes' kids.
Rich, you got anything you wanted to bring up regarding the episode?
Oh no, I just wanted to say, yes, it was an excellent episode. I'll be very curious to see what everybody says in the comment section. I want to definitely give a shout out to everybody that commented last week. A lot of great things were said throughout. Every time we do a show, the commenters do an excellent job. So we appreciate each and every one of you. And we're definitely looking forward to what you have to say about this episode and what happens moving forward with as far as the future of the series.
Yep. And to bounce off of that, thank you everyone for listening. And we appreciate all of the people who left comments last week. Thank you all. I love the, all the discussion that happens in the comments, because it feels like it's like a week-long discussion of what happened in the episode, and it helps build anticipation for the next episode. So I like that we have that community going, with the commenters and everything. So thank you to everyone who left comments. And if you listen to this but don't comment, we urge you to get involved, because we want this to be a community thing. So yeah, thank you everyone for listening. And can't wait for the next episode. We'll be back next week, of course, to talk about episode 6. But for now, we're gonna make a move and be out. See you later, people.